We are. How's everybody today? Fabulous, fabulous. It's the morning after the Ironman, so we'll see all of us who managed to get up and get here today. Thank you for coming, because a lot of times there's very few of us hanging out, but we're all hanging out together. It's awesome. And so this morning, I'd like you to rise, and we're going to say our affirmation for this month, being it's a Halloween month. We're going to seek. I'll say it first. I seek and find the good in everyone and everything. I am grateful. Together, I seek and find the good in everyone and everything. I am grateful. And so it is. And so.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
The daily word for Sunday, October 11th is grace. God gives me grace without conditions. I do not have to work hard or earn divine blessings. My worthiness does not depend on my actions. I am worthy of grace because of who I am. When Moses stood at the burning bush and asked, Who shall I say sent me? God said, I am who I am. The same I am who incarnated in the form of Jesus and lies at the core of me. I am made in the image and likeness of God, and therefore I am the very essence of God. This gift of my essence is grace. Grace takes action too, showing up as delightful goodness in my life. I allow grace to overflow from my heart in free and joyous expression. I live in the fullness of grace simply because I am. By grace you have been saved. It is the gift of God. Ephesians 2:8. So the word for today is grace. And the affirmation is, I live in the fullness of grace simply because I am. Together? I live in the fullness of grace simply because I am.
Thank you, Patrick. Now is the time where I invite you to visualize our sanctuary as a beautiful heart. So let's see this heart moving in and around and through each one of us, through our thrift store, back into Sunday school, and just seeing our whole center filled with this light, this love, this caring and compassion that you have for yourself, for your families, and for each other. And just allow this heart to be filled with your loving presence. We can feel the energy filling our heart, filling this room. And if you know of anyone in need of prayer, hold them in our heart. And if there is any circumstance in your world, in our world, in need of prayer, of which there are so many, and even for our divine right weather conditions, we just pray for all of them, holding them in our heart as we sing the prayer for protection. And now I invite you to get comfortable where you are. Close your eyes if that feels right to you. We begin our time of centering in prayer by just breathing. We take in a deep breath, the very breath of life that is God. And we just allow that energy to come into our body and relax us. Breathing in again deeply. And as we exhale, we just allow this light, this love to quiet us, affirming peace, be still. And once more we breathe in that very presence as it meets us inside in our heart, relaxing our breath. We truly know that this is our time of reconnecting with the God of our being. Breathing into this presence, allowing this presence presence within us to blossom, to grow in love, to grow in every way, for this is true prosperity. Allow that spirit, that loving presence to fill every cell in your being with health and wholeness. Allow people that you love to come to mind right now and just bless them all. Allow that love to fill you, the love that you have for them and the love that they have for you, for that is prosperity. We also pray for divine right work, and whatever work we do, we allow that to prosper us and those around us. We allow all of these things, an abundance of everything in the universe that God provides for us, including that energy that is green we call money. We allow that to come to us fully and freely. Spirit is so generous with all the beauty around us. Allow yourself to see that now as we go into a time of quiet prayer. Allow the beauty of who you are, the essence of God in you, to shine forth in these moments in the silence. I invite you now to take another deep breath. And as we exhale, we smile with that light, that love, that spirit that is God in us. And in these moments, we allow that sense of gratitude to manifest and come forth. And we just know that all things work together for good. That God is a source of our supply, of our essence, our being, of everything in our world. God is. And we just say, thank you, God. Thank you, God, in me, in us, for allowing us to remember and reconnect with that spirit that is our truth. And we are grateful. And so it is. Amen. relaxing. Everybody feel relaxing. Feel the energy in here. It's like, okay. You can there's room you could lay over on a chair if you want. That's it. We'll put a hammock out. That's right. That'd be great. Well, this is our month of talking about different ways and experiences about prosperity. How many of you feel prosperous in your life? Look around the room. Everyone feels prosperous. How great is that? Okay, I really don't need to talk today then. Right? So last week we talked about many things, and truly knowing that God is the source of our supply in every way, and that, in the Bible, in Luke, it talks about it is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. So when you think about it, and think about all the things that you're blessed with, to know that it is your right to prosper in every way. From the things that we see, the things that we do, the things that we feel, and even the things we cannot touch. We know that all of this is prosperity, and all of this is God's source of our supply. How many of you thought when you first heard the word prosperity that it was just about money? I did. It's like when you talked about prosperity, it was like, okay, I'd like to have more money. When you're a parent and you have children, and now when you have grandchildren like me, there's a whole lot of them. And it's like, whoa, we want to have more than enough to be able to give generously to our family, to ourselves, to those that we love and care about, and to others. I know all of you are generous in many ways. Wouldn't you say? You give all over. It's a blessing to have that consciousness of prosperity. Are you ever around people who are not prosperous in their thinking? How does it make you feel? How does it make you feel when people are, every other word out of their mouth is about money, or it's a negative aspect of money, or they don't have enough, or they'll never have enough, or why does this have to cost so much money? I mean, I still, after all these years of tithing and doing this work, sometimes that'll come up. And it happened to me last week. I took a cab. How many of you have taken a cab in Kona? Mm-hmm. Do you like the price that you pay? Do you take a cab anywhere? And when you see that meter, I'm like, it starts at $3. So it's $3 to open that door and get your butt in the chair, right? And then it was like, and I live right close by the airport. And so it was like...
I don't like that. I know that for a fact.
Dawn says they don't like that when you're close by. And it was funny because I could tell her, she was getting a little freaked out about you because it's straight uphill. Everything's uphill going up there. And so it was funny for me to watch myself as I watched the meter clicking. And it doesn't go by 10 cents or 20 cents. It's 40, 60, 120. I mean, it goes like that all these increments. And I was just laughing. I said, Deb, you got issues here. You best be handling them. And so by the time I was like, okay, so what's it going to be? $20? I mean, it's a 5-minute drive to my house from the airport. And I went, you have a lot of work to do. So I tried to cultivate the gratitude. A, this person was here at the last minute. B, you couldn't walk up that hill with your suitcase, girl. You can't even walk up your own hill with this, because we live on a hill like this too. And it was just to learn to cultivate that gratitude in those moments. And I was like, okay, so she has a business, she needs to prosper. I'm helping her prosper by having her drive. And then she was having trouble getting out of our driveway, which a lot of people do. And I was like, you're not going to go, aha, that's what you get because you charged me $22 to get up the hill. And it was, because we still have those negative, do you have those negative thoughts? And so to get them and to go to God as a source of our supply. And to really know it's the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. And part of the kingdom is to be able to ask someone to give me a ride home. To pay it if need be, but whatever might happen, to give it freely, joyously, and with love. And by the time I got up the hill, it was that way. And I wanted to tip her because I could feel her being afraid about the hills and the driveway. I could feel that energy. Do you ever feel people's energy when they're afraid? And I was like, okay, God, help me to help this be a good experience for both of us. And it ended up being that way. And it was awesome. And I don't think I've ever had a cab in Kona before. So it was very interesting. So now I have cab consciousness. Right? It's a good thing. Because the first company that I called, she says, oh, we're just way too busy. I went, that's prosperity. And I said that out loud. And she goes, huh? And I said, oh, you're just a very prosperous cab company. She goes, I guess. Click. And it was like wonderful. But if it is God's good pleasure to give us the kingdom, it's about everything and everywhere. And I don't know if you were all out and about anywhere about the Ironman yesterday, but to think of the prosperity, all the people from all the different countries and their families that were here. It was so amazing to hear the different languages and the way that people are to each other, and to watch all of the prosperity in this little town. Everyone had a shirt or a backpack or a bag or shoes or anything that had to do with the Ironman, supporting this big event that happens every year in Kona. So we can be grateful or not. We can change our consciousness to support all of these people, because that's prosperity too. Don't we all want to feel supported in what we do? It doesn't feel very pleasurable and prosperous if you feel alone in life. And so we want to move forward in our consciousness of giving rather than getting, because we are raised to get something for doing something. Wouldn't you say? Yeah. So think about kids. In one way, they'll say, well, I'm not going to give it to them. That's my favorite toy. Where does that come from? It's a consciousness that is here on our planet. And so we help to train our children and teach them to be generous. When my grandkids were little, we made up a song, and it's sharing is caring, and caring is sharing. I love you, you love me, we give to each other. And the kids today, they're like in their teens, and I'll go, sharing is caring. They go, oh, Grandma. But it's true. And then they'll jump in and sing it. Because when we share and give to each other, it feels good, doesn't it? It really does feel good. So we want to change that thing of thinking, what's in it for me, to what might I be able to do for you? And it's a big shift, because our world is not about that for the most part. Wouldn't you say? It's about, what can I get? What can I buy? What can I have? Instead of, what is my part here? How can I help support you and me in this experience? And that's what we want to do. And I shared with you last week that Irene Gaines, she's my teacher about prosperity. And finally, she wrote a book, and I still have a few copies on my desk if you'd like to buy it. And it's called The 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity. How many of you have read this? Working on it. Awesome. Because it changed my life in the avenues of money. And because I had the opportunity of meeting Edwene so long ago, several times, she just changed she's very, very funny. And through her humor and her principles about prosperity in every way, she changed us. Our whole family changed about giving. And so one of the ways that she originally created this was that 21-day program of no gossiping, no criticism, and all that good stuff. And then Reverend Wilbowen took it to a step further and created a complaint-free program. And we've done that in our church as well. But I thought, since I'm revisiting Edwene, we're going to revisit her story about 21 days. So how many of you have ever heard this story before about how she came to change her mind about criticism and gossiping and all that good stuff? Oh, good, then you're going to love this story because it's filled with her humor. All right, so to accomplish these remarkable things about creating all the good in your life, you're going to need power, and you're going to need energy, and there's a simple way to get both. A wonderful spiritual teacher of mine named Charles once taught me a beautiful lesson. I had been in Unity about 3 months, and by that time, I thought I knew everything. Anybody ever feel that way? Yes. One Sunday after church, I went up to Charles and said, "This church business is God's business, and it really needs to be done first class. I don't know who's responsible for vacuuming the sanctuary today, but it was a mess. And I don't know who made the coffee, but it was so strong you could have floated a horseshoe in it. And the soloist was completely off key. We can't ever have her again." I know you all think of these things. And there were at least 6 typographical errors in the bulletin. And I went on and on. This great, high, holy teacher patiently listened to my long litany of complaints. And then he said, "Edwene, dear, for you today, the highest metaphysical principle and law in the universe is don't bitch." I love it. And when she says it, she got her southern drawl. Don't bitch. I was taken aback. That wasn't all the response. That wasn't at all the response I had expected. So I went home and prayed about it. I prayed, he doesn't appreciate what I was trying to do. I was just trying to help. And then I heard that little voice inside me, the one that always speaks the truth, and it said, "You should pay attention to what he said." I had once heard somewhere that if you do anything for 21 days, it will become a part of your soul. I didn't know if this was true or not, but 21 days sounded like a period of time that I could work with. So I made myself a 21-day calendar, and I posted it on my refrigerator. And I made a commitment that for 21 days I would not gossip, I would not criticize, I would not complain, not to others or even to myself if I could help it. I would not utter any negative language at all for 21 days. No matter what happened during that time, whatever disaster might befall me, my response was going to be, "Well, that's great." And I marked off those 21 days as they passed. Now, I always thought of myself as a wonderful conversationalist, always ready for some witty repartee, and that I always had interesting and entertaining things to discuss with people around me. But for the next 21 days, I could not think of a single thing to say. During that time, I took a real good look at Edwene, and I was not very tickled with what I saw. I saw that I was a poisoner who was poisoning my own environment with gossip. I saw that I was a murderer because sarcasm is murder. Criticism is murder. Gossip and criticism create a powerfully negative energy that really pollutes everything around you. At first, when I stopped complaining and criticizing, I couldn't think of anything to say. I just didn't know what to do with myself. But then, after some time had passed, I found that I had all sorts of new energy pouring into me. It is what I called in the old school Holy Spirit power. All of a sudden, I had so much more energy and time to contribute to the good ideas and the projects in my life. I began to experience that joy comes with praising and saying good things about other people and appreciating what I had in my life. Because it's a spiritual truth that the more you notice the good in your life, the more you get. Wow. The more you notice even the small things, a beautiful sunset, a penny in the street, a pretty pink flower in the park, the more you get. The more you notice the gifts God gives you, the more God gives. And with this new joy I was experiencing came a great sense of power. I got to experience what it feels like to be truly powerful. Are you willing to be powerful? And so when Reverend Will Bowen took that premise of 21 days. He had an inspiration in his church, and it came from, we had these purple bracelets. How many of you remember the purple bracelets? And they're all about a complaint-free world. And he gave away 6 million bracelets over a couple of year period of time. And even Maya Angelou became a spokesperson for being complaint-free, because she totally believed in not criticizing or gossiping. It will change your life. And alas, she says, be careful on the 20th day. Because whenever you start to criticize or gossip again, you have to start all over. So you go back to day one when you criticize or have negativity. And so with the bracelets that we used for quite a while, whenever you complained, you had to switch it and put it on your other arm. And so we had ways to do this long ago. We had different bracelets. We invite you to put your watch on a different arm, all these different ways. But to stop complaining and criticizing and gossiping and doing the things that sometimes we do to make us feel better. Do you notice how you might want to do that? When you want someone to join you on your side about complaining about someone else, and then you realize halfway through that you're really complaining about them, we want to stop that. And we want to allow ourselves to have the power. Charles Fillmore says this is the center of power, is our throat. And it is our voice. When we express negativity, it goes out into the world. Our third spiritual principle is that we are co-creators with God. What kind of world do you want to create when you're expressing all of it out there in a negative way? It's going to come back to you tenfold. But if you express love, what are you going to get back? More love. Joy. If you express joy through your center of power, you are going to receive more joy. You're going to create circumstances in your life to manifest your good. It is absolutely true. And if you don't believe me, just try it. Try for 21 days to not gossip or criticize or bring any negativity from you out into the world. And that means we don't talk negatively about ourselves. We learn to love ourselves exactly as we are, as we love others. It is just a powerful tool that we can use, that it's a gift that we're given. And so we want to think about, it is God's good pleasure to give us this kingdom. And it's right here on earth. Do we want to create heaven right here on earth? Absolutely. Do we want to think that we have to wait till we die to go somewhere else to have heaven? That's not beneficial for right here. We want to love what's happening now. And we want to be those magnificent co-creators of God, because that's our essence. Our essence is truth. And that, Edwene says, when she heard that voice, it said, you better listen to this. How many of you have that still small voice that you pay attention to? And it says, you best be doing this. Driving up the hill, criticizing that meter. It didn't get me anywhere. Could I stop it? And so what I had to get in touch with, it was great, was about my wanting to control. So I could control nothing. I had to sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. That's not easy when you want control. When people aren't acting the way you want them to act in your life, what is it? We want to have some control. And that will hurt us more than anything in our world, is to want to have control over other people, other places, and other things outside of ourselves. And isn't it more easy to join the energy of love that we look for in other people, to move forward in truth, because the truth is, love is all there is. So I want to help manifest that in the world, because there's great challenges in our world right now. And we want to be part of the solution. Everyone in this room is part of the solution, because you are all prosperous. You said that. In the beginning of this lesson, you all are prosperous in every way. That means you have health that you love, people that you love. You have all the cash you can spend, or the credit cards, whatever works, and the ability to pay them off when they come in. We live in paradise. Every day that we see this gorgeous place, we are grateful. Every single day. And every time you put your toe in that water and you go, oh my gosh, it's so warm. That's a blessing when you come from somewhere else and it's cold. We are blessed. So as that old saying used to be, you want to count your blessings every day. See the little things that make you feel happy in your heart and allow them to grow every cell in your being with life, with love, and with prosperity from the deepest part of your being. That is God, and that is your essence. We're prosperous in every way. Thank you, everyone.